Gender diversity in video game community has improved constantly, and that's also improved some aspects or issues in video game quality as well. So in this video, I will only focus on these 3 points. First, the ability to choose the gender of video game characters. Second, the open to different sexuality than heterosexual content in video games. And third, the improvement of the character design of female video games characters. Before we are going to look at each point, let's see the stat of gender diversity in the video game industry. It is no longer a male-dominated industry, at least for the player side. As you can see here, in between years 2005 and 2009, the percentage of female players has jumped from being a minority to become almost 50%. The stat from Statista, which conducted in US, also appears to be the same, that the proportion of female gamers is growing and close to being equally as male proportion. Now, if we look on the side of video game developers, the number of female developers is still vastly smaller than male. So, regardless to the number of female developers, the video games themselves have improved or developed to be suitable to play by every gender and sexuality. Now for the first point, as a female player, the ability to play as male or female character indeed can make the playing experience to be more immersive significantly. And now more and more game developers have acknowledged that there are female players out there who want a choice between playing as female characters that represent them. As you can see from the graph here, the number of video games that allow players to choose gender of the lead protagonist is gradually more significant every year. This allows the game to be appealing and favorable to everyone, regardless of their gender. In the past, the genre of video games that most of the times allow players to choose their character gender are simulation games like Sim, Animal Crossing, or role-playing games like Dragon Age series, Fall series, Fable 2. But now, action or shooter games like Call of Duty, Battlefield 5, Far Cry 5 also allow players to choose the gender as they're playing the game as well. However, there is one video game series that is a good example for showing the evolution of the video game industry. It is the Assassin's Creed series. Assassin's Creed used to only focus on male protagonists for many years. Then they started to change by letting the player freely switch the characters to play in Assassin's Creed Syndicate anytime except in a story mission. And now, in Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla, they allow players to select their protagonist that they will play through the whole game. Moving on to the second point, it is quite a similar reason as the first point. Since the best customer or players are now becoming more gender diverse, the developers also gain some confidence to put LGBTQ contents in video games. In the past, the only common types of video games that allow players to explore different sexualities than heterosexual are simulation games and RPG games. They are the safest genre of games that developers can put LGBTQ contents without any worry, since players can choose how they want the character to be or how they want to play the game. But in this year, games like The Last of Us 2 and Tell Me Why allow us to have the lead LGBT protagonist that players don't have any control over their character sexuality. Both games made the most significant step for the video game industry to open for more LGBTQ games in the future. Now for the last point, the character design of female characters in video games now becoming less sexualized and focus on the positive portrayal of female characters. The study by Lin about content analysis of female characters in video games has shown that the sexualization of female characters was highest on average in 1990s, but in 2006, sexualization began to decrease, even though there were still more female characters coming out. So now most of the female protagonist characters that came out in the past few years are usually represent how strong, capable, and attractive women can be without overt sexualization. And that brand said that this change in female character design could be an essential factor for encouraging women to become interested in gaming. One example of the development in female character design is the character from Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. From the start, you can see that she is usually wearing clothes that reveal her skin, and they also highlight the chest area to be ridiculously obvious. But as the time goes, and now in the latest Tomb Raider games, her clothes design is much more suitable for the action and place that she is exploring, and no longer make her body over-sexualized. In conclusion, the video game industry has moved to another step in improving gender diversity in their community. Players now have more variety of content to explore and more freedom to play, to the point that they actually are able to build the character how they like. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.